First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Psalms, the 19th chapter, the works and word of God. Now in this chapter, it's there are certain verses here which are double layered, right? But it's going into, as it says, the works of the Lord. But let's get into it, right? It says here, Psalms 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, which on the literal level, right, at face value, is dealing with the actual, heavens, right? The actual, ordinances of the Lord and so on, the sun, the moon. But, it's also, twofold, right? And it's also dealing with the internet when it comes or mentions the heavens declaring the glory of the Lord. It's like what it says in Second Esdras, shall together, and is describing or is referring to the internet, right? This is Second Esdras 6:20. All and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then I will show these tokens. The book shall be opened, right, which is the understanding of the scriptures before the firmament, and they shall see all together. So how are we all seeing together, as the books are being opened before the firmament? And what's in the firmament are the satellites, which actually transmit data. When you look at it, look at here, how does, let's say, data go from one computer to another, and see if we can find a diagram. Okay. Yeah, so I suppose, this is not bad. So long story short, all right, when you either send or receive any information, right, is broken down into some, let's just call it data. And that data is sent from your computer. Now your computer, if you're using Wi-Fi, has something called a network interface card, or a NIC, all right, or a network adapter. And that's basically just, some circuitry inside your computer that actually transmits physically, right, that data or that information via the air, right, called radio waves. That's why Wi-Fi is wireless. Okay, and what happens is, whatever that information is, whether it's a text message, an email, a video, whatever information it is that's leaving your computer, if you're uploading a video to YouTube, for example, YouTube is not on your computer, right? YouTube has servers elsewhere. So what's going to happen is you do the video on your computer, you go to YouTube, you click, upload. What ends up happening when you upload is that video is broken up into data. That data is transmitted. Let's say you're using a Wi-Fi. Your computer is going to send via the Wi-Fi, right, the radio waves in the air, this data, right, encoded in the air to this router, right, your router that you have in your house. Your router is then going to connect to a broader network. That broader network, which goes, and connects one to another. In between there, you have, depending on how far the distance is, it's either connected via, signal towers, right, radio towers, satellites, or fiber optic cables, which are underwater. Okay, because the higher you go, when you try to go like international, what you need is either satellites or, those cables underwater to actually transfer the data. And then eventually it transfers and it goes and it goes and it goes throughout, different networks until it gets to this other computer. So using YouTube for an example, where we upload videos, you do the video on your computer, you hit upload, the video information is sent via the internet, right, through your router onto what's called the internet, which is really just networks, right, other people's, networks that are set up. That information travels, it hits a satellite, or it goes through, some fiber optic cables or some radio towers, from one to another to another to another, and then it gets to wherever, say, YouTube has their computers, right? Some data warehouse with a server, A server is just another computer. So your video gets to their computer when you upload it. That's where it is. It's literally on their computer now. And then when somebody goes to watch a video, what's going to happen is this is going to work in reverse. Okay. They're going to go to youtube.com. The YouTube's computer or server is going to send that video. Same way when you uploaded it went, it's going to send that video via, the internet all the way back, all the way back, all the way back. It's going to hit some satellite, depending on how far the computer or the the server that you're getting the video from is. And it's going to send that back to your router and then back through the radio waves, through the air, in the Wi-Fi, to your computer. And then you're going to watch that video, like the video I'm doing right now, or your phone. Okay. So internet or information travels through the internet. And that's how the internet works on a very, 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 very abstract high level. Okay. So you need those radio towers, you need the satellites, you need the fiber optic cables in between to connect. That's why it's called an internetwork, to connect the different networks. So when you go back to Psalms 19, the heavens here that are declaring the glory of the Lord is what is a part of what we're teaching. And the way the heavens declare it is via the satellites. Okay, so because without the satellites, that information, that word, can only travel so far, when we use it, when we put it on the internet. But now it can go worldwide and show forth, as it says, the handiwork, which is the work, the information that's being taught, the truth. Okay, so that's that one layer of it. It says, day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night sheweth knowledge, right? Which is us, right? Us constantly, putting up lessons, teaching, edifying. That's that day unto day uttering speech, and night unto night shewing knowledge. There is no speech, no language where their voice is not heard. Okay, that's going into different languages that brothers speak. And now with the technology, you can actually speak in one language and use AI, as they have, to translate it in real time, not reading the captions, but the audio into another language. Okay. So as it says here, where their voice is not heard. So the word of the Lord, the gospel, has spread throughout the four corners of the earth by way of the internet. That's how it works. That's why it's called the World Wide Web. Their line is going out through all the earth. See, the World Wide Web, and their words to the end of the world. And we didn't physically have to go there, but how did our words get there? Right? How did the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding spread? By way of the internet. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun. All right, which here the sun represents knowledge, all right, wisdom and understanding, and them is us, right, the teachers, and we are like the dwelling place of the sun, which a part of that wisdom dwelling amongst them. Let's actually go here to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 verse 27. It says, but being but one, this is dealing with wisdom, she can do all things, and remaining in herself she maketh all things new, and in all ages entering into holy souls. See, entering into holy souls, the tabernacle, she maketh them friends of God and prophets. All right. So continuing here in Psalm chapter 19, verse 5. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up here to save me some headache. Let's pull this up here in the NLT, so you can see here the the way it's worded here, right, in reference to the the more literal meaning, right, of like the firmament itself. So let's read this in the NLT, Psalm 19:1. The heavens proclaim the glory of God. The skies display his craftsmanship. Day after day they continue to speak. Night after night they make him known. They speak without a sound or word. Their voice is never heard. Yet their message is gone throughout the earth, and their words to all the world. God has made a home in the heavens for the sun. Right, and when you go to Genesis, right, on a literal level, the Lord did. He made in the heavens, the firmament. He placed the sun and the moon and the stars. Verse 5, it says here, it bursts forth like a radiant bridegroom after his wedding. It rejoices like a great athlete eager to run the race. Right, that's going into verse 5, right? Which is as a bridegroom dealing with the son, coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. Verse 6, his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and this is dealing with the sun, right? His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit onto the ends of it. That's the path, right? Let's say that the sun follows, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof, right? NLT, the sun rises at one end of the heavens and follows its course to the other end. Nothing can hide from its heat. The law of the Lord Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. See, and how is the Lord's word converting the soul? By us teaching. Okay, the testimony which we have is making wise the simple, right? Those that are simple is making them wise through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart and rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. See, and that's exactly what it is. That's what it does. It enlightens your eyes. It gives you understanding. Okay, it causes you to rejoice. You know, when the Lord opens up your mind, it's like sweet like honey. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord Yahweh are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired than any gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Right, that's basically verse 10 in the NLT says they are more desirable than gold, which is the words of the Lord, even the finest gold. They are sweeter than honey, even honey dripping from the comb. In Revelation, the 10th chapter, right, it was told John to eat the book, and he said that it would be sweet in his mouth as honey, right, but bitter in his belly. So this word is likened unto honey. It's sweet, you know, once you understand it, because it brings joy, it brings peace, it brings comfort. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is a great reward. So the servants of the Lord are warned, right, by the words of the Lord, and in keeping his words there is a great reward, right? And Yahweh Shai spoke about that when Peter asked, "What are we going to get?" Yahweh Shai went into the reward that you would get along with eternal life. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Right? NLT says, how can I know all the sins lurking in my heart? Cleanse me from these hidden faults. And we always have to pray for that, right? For the Lord to cleanse us from any secret faults, things we may not even know about. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Presumptuous sins are deliberate, like willful. Okay, and that's, you know, when demons entice you to do something you know you shouldn't do. As David is saying here, keep me back from that. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. See here, verse 13 in the NLT, keep your servant from deliberate sins. Don't let them control me. Then I will be free from guilt, or free of guilt, and innocent of great sin. And that's where you want to be. Let thy words, or let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart, my thoughts, be acceptable in thy sight, O Yahweh, my strength and my redeemer. All right, and that's what you want. You want your words to be acceptable, your thoughts to be pure in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, and that brings us to the end of the book of Psalms, the 19th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.